Welcome to lesson 5.3, linear equations, but now we're doing something called the elimination method. So this is actually just a different way of doing questions that we did above, right? We're still doing systems of equations problems, right? But we're just going to solve it now by eliminating one of the variables. I'll show you what I mean as we get going. I think it'll make sense. So, go through the notes, right? Like if you for your own record when you're doing questions too, like these are great examples. But I think for this one, what I want to do is I want to jump right into a question and kind of show you the steps I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Okay. So again, yeah, you can look through those, look through the examples. They're great examples for 2 and 3 there. But I'm going to start right on question number 1 here, and just we'll do this one together. All right. So hence the name. We want to eliminate something. Well, and maybe let's even just back up a second. So let's say I wanted to solve, just the expression, if I just ignore the bottom for a second. I wanted to solve that top one. Well, the way you would typically solve things, using algebra is we'd try to get either x on its own or y on its own, right? You try to get the variable on its own and all the numbers to the other side. Remember what my problem is. The problem is that I have 2 different variables to deal with now. I've got the x and I've got the y. Right? The last way we did it with substitution is we rearranged it for x or y, and then we substituted it into the expression, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to try to rearrange these things in such a way, we're going to mess around with them, so that we're going to end up being able to cancel the x terms out and then just deal with the y's, or cancel the y's out and just deal with the x's. Okay, so that we just end up with one variable. And okay, so here's how we're going to do it. I look at my x's and I look at my y's and I look at the numbers that I'm dealing with. Well, I want my x's, let's say, to be exactly the same number, right? So I want them to be, well, in this case, I could make the 2 and the 3. I know that both of those go into 6. So why don't we try to turn both of those into 6? Well, to do that, what we're going to do is I'm going to multiply this top expression by 3, right? And now this is probably the first time you guys have seen this with me drawing brackets around everything, right, including the equal sign. I'm just doing that to show that I'm multiplying everything in here by 3. Really what we're doing is we're going to multiply this by 3, this by 3, and this by 3. Okay, but just as a shorthand, we're going to write it like that. Okay? And we're going to write multiply everything on the bottom by, well, 2. Because the goal here is to turn these both into the same number, right? I want to turn them into 6. So let's go ahead and see what we get when we do that. So just writing out the top again, then I'm going to get 2x times the 3 I'm multiplying by. So that's 6x. Okay, and then moving on to the next one. And then plus 7y, so 7 times 3, so 21y, is equal to 20, and then 24 times 3 is 72. All right, now let's move on to the bottom one. See if this works out. So the bottom now, I've got 3 times 2. Perfect. I wanted that to be 6. Right? So now we've got 6x, and then plus, and then, well, actually this will be minus, right? Because I've got negative 2 times that 2 is now negative 4y is equal to, and then negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Okay, now, so I got them being exactly the same. Now, this is a new way of subtracting that you guys haven't seen before. As long as you have your equal sign lined up, we can actually go ahead and just subtract these guys. Like, actually just subtract the whole thing. Like, I'm going to write this all like with like an equal sign, just as if we were doing like 54 minus 27, right? We write it like this. I'm going to write it the same way. And this will be new to you guys, so I know this, it's like a new way of looking at it. Okay, but now careful, because when I subtract this bottom part, this isn't quite right. I actually have to put my brackets there, right, around the whole thing, because this means now I'm going to subtract all those things, right? All right, so now if I have it written out like this, now I've got 6x minus 6x. That's perfect. That was the whole point of this. That's 0, right? That cancels out. So that's 0. And now I move on to the next one. Here, let's make this different color. So that's 0. And now I move on to the next one. We've got 21y. And now careful on this. This is minus negative 4y. Okay, so then that's going to be minus a negative is really plus. So this is 20, so plus 25y, right? Just adding those. And then is equal to, and then again, careful on this. This is 72 minus negative 8. That's really 72 plus 8, so that's 80. All right, so now that made life a lot easier, didn't it? Now this is what I have left. I just have 25y is equal to 80. Well, we can solve this, right? So we just want y on its own. I'm going to divide both sides by 25. So divide by 25. So we get y is equal to, so we get, well, I'm going to divide the top and bottom by 5 here. So we get 16 over 5. And that's it. That's our answer for y. So we're half done. Because remember, when we're solving these things, in order to make this true, we want to figure out what y and x are. Okay? So now, one reason why this one's not as nice is this step right here, right? If you remember back in the last lesson, we already had a nice, like x is equal to something, at this point. We don't have that yet because of the way we did it. So that's okay though. So we just have a little bit of rearranging to do. So if I know this is y, I can go back up to these, right? Just the original ones, and I can use either one. It doesn't matter which one. So I'm gonna use, let's use the top one there. So we've got 2x plus 7y is equal to 24. Actually, you know what? Let's use the other one. That'll be nicer. Sorry guys, if you're following along. Let's go 3x minus 2y is equal to negative 4. Alright, so now we need to insert 16 over 5 in for y, right? Because that's what y is. And then we can solve for x here. Okay, so we're going to go 3x minus 2. And then instead of a y, I'm going to be putting this in. I'm going to be putting this in here, right? So this will be 16 over 5. 16 over 5. Okay, and then is equal to negative 4. And now I got to solve for x in this case, right? So let's simplify this down again. So now we've got 3x minus, all right, so then this is really 2 times 16 over 5, right? So this is really 32 over 5 is equal to negative 4. All right, so I want x on its own, right? So now I've got 3x. I'm just gonna add 32 over 5 to both sides, right? Let's bring this over here. So we've got is equal to negative 4 plus 32 over 5. All right, we're getting there. So now we're gonna add those. So I'm gonna need a common denominator here, right? So I'm gonna rewrite this negative 4 as well. I'm gonna multiply the bottom and the top by 5. So this is 3x is equal to, and then 5 times negative 4 is negative 20 over 5 plus 32 over 5. All right, so 3x is equal to negative 20 plus 32. Well, that's the same thing as 32 minus 20, so that's just 12 over 5. Okay, and then very last step, we're going to divide both sides by 3. And when we divide both sides by 3, it really just means the 3 goes in the bottom, right? The 3 comes down here. So we can just make this 12 over 5 times 3. So x is equal to 12 over 15. So it's just that easy. Not gonna lie, this one was a little tougher. Maybe I shouldn't have started with that one, but this is the quality of questions you guys are gonna have. Because yeah, they will have fractions in them, right? This isn't an indication that the elimination method's harder, because we would have had, you know, to deal with the fractions and everything in the last lesson too, if we had a question like this, right? So, yeah, this would have worked either way to solve for these ones. But all right, next one. So question 2. A carpenter placed 2 identical plywood. Oh, never mind. Yeah, this is the one. Sorry. A carpenter placed 2 identical plywood sheets end to end and measured their perimeter. Okay, so the perimeter was 40 feet. The carpenter placed the sheets side to side and measured their perimeter. So side to side, it was 32 feet. Right? Remember, perimeter is all the way around. Okay. Determine the dimensions of the piece of this wood. Okay. Well, they've given us enough information to actually make 2 equations out of this. Right? There is an equation sitting here for us here, and another equation sitting for us here. And then we should be able to use that information to solve for the 2 lengths. Okay, so let's do the first one. So this first one here, if I'm doing perimeter, well then that's going to be length, or sorry, width. There's a width there, there's 4 lengths and another width, right? So really 2 widths and 4 lengths. Okay, so in that case, that's going to be, well, 2 W's plus 4 lengths is equal to 40. Okay, so that's our first equation. So now let's do our second equation. So now we have 2 L's and 4 W's. So the second equation should be 2, well here I'll make a W's in the right spot. So we've got 4 W's, so 4 W's plus 2 L's should be equal to 32 feet. There. So now the question is just like it was above, right? And it'll probably be a lot easier actually to solve this time too. All right, so we're going to use the elimination method. So we can either try to eliminate the W's or the L's. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, so I'll try to eliminate the W's. Okay, so in order to do that, really what I want to do is I just want to turn that 2 into a 4 so that they cancel, right? So let's do that. So we'll go, okay, I'm going to multiply everything here by, on the top, by 2 to turn this into a 4, right? So let's write it out again. So we'll just write everything out there again as 4W. Here, I'll give myself some room here too. I'll write it over here. So we'll have 4W plus, and then 4 times 2 was 8L. And then is equal to 40 times 2 is 80. Okay. And then I'll just rewrite the bottom one again. So then it was 4W plus 2L is equal to 32. So now we're good to go, right? We have them written out the way we want. Now we can just subtract these guys. But when we subtract it, I'm subtracting all of it in brackets. All right, 4W minus 4W. Those cancel, which is perfect. That's what I wanted, right? That's like 0, so they're gone. Now 8L minus 2L is equal to 6L. And then is equal to, and then 80 minus 32 is 48. All right, and then, yeah, this one is easier, right? Because now we're just going to divide both sides by 6. Divide by 6. So we get the length is equal to 8. That's a lot nicer than above, right? Okay, so there's my length. We're not quite done though. We need to solve for our width, right? So I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'll go back to, you could use either, but I'll use the black one here. Okay, so then we've got 2W plus, what was it, 4L is equal to 40. And now I know what L is, right? So I'm just going to put that L into here. So now we've got 2W is equal to 4 times and then 8, right? 4 times 8 is equal to 40. Oh, sorry, that should have been plus 2. All right, so simplifying this down again. So now we've got 2W plus 4 times 8, so 32 is equal to 40. So I'll subtract 32 from both sides, so minus 32. So we've got 2w is equal to 8. And then I'll divide by 2, divide by 2. So we get w is equal to 4. There you go. There's our two variables there. Okay, I'm gonna skip through this one. It's kind of a funny question, but yeah, just for the sake of time, let's do a few more of these ones. So I'll do 4 and 5, and then we'll call it good. All right, so solve the following system of equations. So now we've got 3x plus 9y is equal to 5. All right. So again, there's always easier and harder ways to do this. I think we should probably get rid of the x's in this case, right? Because now I just need to multiply the top here by 3, right? So let's multiply everything here on the top by 3. Okay, so that should do the trick. So now we'll rewrite this as 3 times 3 is 9x plus 27y plus 15. And then the bottom just stays the same. So then the bottom was all 9x minus 6y. Oh, sorry, that was equal to. Okay, is equal to negative 7. All right, we are pretty good to go. So now we will cancel these, right? So I'm going to subtract 9x on the top and bottom here. Okay, and yeah, so 9x minus 9x, so my x's cancel. So perfect, that ends up being 0. And then 27 minus negative 6 is really 27 plus 6. So 33y is equal to, and then 15 minus negative 7 is really 15 plus 7. So that's going to be 22. All right, pretty good. Last thing to do, we're going to divide by 33 on both sides. So divide by 33. So then y is equal to, and then it looks here like we could divide the top and bottom by 11. And we end up getting 2 over 3. All right, so there's our step 1. Now step 2, we're going to have to put that in, right? So now we're going to go back to either one. Doesn't matter which one. Let's do the top one. Yeah, let's do the top one. So now we're going to have 3x plus 9y is equal to 5. And I'm solving for x, right? So now 3x plus 9, and instead of a y, we're going to put in 2 over 3. All right, so this is 2 over 3. And that's equal to 5. All right, this one will actually be kind of nice because our fractions should cancel, or should work out a little nicer. So we've got 3x plus, and then here, let's just look at this again. So we've got 9 times 2 over 3. Right? And I know people get confused by this, but so this is really the same thing as 9 times 2 over 3, right? Now, you could just go, okay, 9 times 2 is 18. And then this is like over 1, so 1 times 3 is 3. And then say 18 over 3 is 6. Okay, you could do that. That'd be fine. But we should start getting good at our little tricks here, right? Or like looking at it and canceling as we're looking at it. So I've got a 9 on top here, and I got a 3 on the bottom. I can actually just like simplify this, right? So 9 over 3 would really be, well, those would cancel. You could think of this is like 3 over 1. So now I've just got 3 times 2, which is 6. You guys see that? So that's what this will all be, right? We're going to turn that into just 6, and that's equal to 5. Okay. So then I'll subtract 6 from both sides, so minus 6 minus 6. So we've got 3x is equal to negative 1. And then divide by 3, divide by 3. So x is equal to negative 1 over 3. All right, next one. Okay, so on this one's not looking so nice, is it, right? You guys kind of see the fractions going on there and everything. Well, so we got to ask ourselves whether or not we're trying to cancel the x's or the y's, right? So just take a look at it and we'll figure out, okay, our x's, I would have to try to multiply this by something and then this by something. So I got to figure out what 1 over 8 and 3 over 4 go into. That starts getting a little bit complicated, right? I think we'd be better off to try to get rid of our y's, right? Because then I can say, well, can't I just multiply, this one by 1 over 4, right? Because if I multiply that by 1 over 4, then that would be like negative 1 over 4y, which is going to be the same. The negative, I'll show you how we're going to handle the negative in a second. Just leave it as negative 1 over 4y. All right, so let's rewrite what we got going on here now. So we're going to have, well, this first one now, this x, this is going to become, so 3 over 4 times 1 over 4, right? So that's just 3 over 4 times 1 over 4. When you're multiplying it straight across, so that's just 3 over 16. Okay, so we've got 3 over 16 x. Okay, and then we'll have minus 1 over 4y is equal to, and then 2 times 1 over 4, so 2 times 1 over 4. So that's just straight across. Can you guys see that that would be the same thing as just 2 over 4 or a half? Okay, so that's a half. All right, so we did the top. Now let's rewrite the bottom just exactly the same. So now the bottom would just be 1 over 8 x plus 1 over 4 y is equal to 2. Okay, so now they're set up, right? Now I can deal with this. So yeah, let's look here. So now in the ones above, what I did was we put a bracket around this, and then I subtracted, right? But just remember what the goal was, right? The reason why we subtracted was because in these ones, we had like 9x and then minus 9x, right? It was like a positive and a positive, so we had to subtract them to make them into 0. In this case, that's not really going to happen, right? Because now it's negative already, and then we really want to add this, don't we? Because if we add it, if we go negative 1 over 4 plus 1 over 4, that's 0. So yeah, so now we can just handle it that way. If you really wanted to, we could have multiplied the top up here by negative 1 over 4, and then it would have looked like the ones above. But I think it's better this way, just to kind of just make them the same number. Don't care if they're negative or positive, and then do whatever you got to do with your sign, like whether you're adding or subtracting, just to cancel it, right? So in this case, we are adding. Okay, so those two are going to cancel nicely now. So now let's deal with these. Okay, so now we have to add those though. So we got some fractions to add. So we've got, and if you want to, just somewhere else, well, maybe I'll break it to you guys now too. You guys have a function on your calculator that can handle this too. So I'll show you how to do that. All right, so if the fractions are really bothering you, then we'll come to your rescue here on the calculator too. So on your calculator, we can just type it in like this. So we'd type in, and I put in brackets. I go bracket 3 over 16, close my bracket, and then plus 1 over 8. I just put those in brackets up there just so that it's going to do the right order of operations here, right? So 3 over 16 plus 1 over 8. And then if I push equals, you end up getting a decimal, right? But fancy calculators nowadays, you can, from here, press math, and then over to fraction. Nope, I lied. You didn't have to go over to fraction. It's just right here. So number 1 has a little arrow and then fraction. So then if you push enter, now it's going to take my answer and then approximate it to a fraction. So then if I push enter, it'll tell me that this is 5 over 16. Okay? So yeah, we should still know how to add fractions like I did above, but this is a nice, easy way to do it as well. So, okay, so I'm just going to call that 5 over 16 for now. So now we've got 5 over 16x. And then this all cancels, doesn't it, right? Negative 1 over 4 plus 1 over 4 is going to be 0, right? So that was the whole point. Those cancel, so that's like plus 0, if you like, is equal to. And then we've got 1/2 plus 2. Okay, so 1/2 plus 2. We don't need a calculator for this. 1/2 plus 2 would be like 2 over 1, right? So then I'm going to multiply the bottom and the top by 2. So this is like 1/2 plus 4 over 2. So this is really 5 over 2. Okay, so 5 over 2. All right, we're pretty good to go. We can solve now. So I'm just going to get rid of that 0. I don't need it. So we've got 5 over 16x is equal to 5 over 2. Okay, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 16. All right, so I'll get rid of that 16 by just multiplying the top and the bottom by 16. So times 16. And then, you know what? I'm not going to actually put my calculator yet because something magical is going to happen here. So I'm just going to leave it like that for a second. So we've got 5x is equal to 5 times 16 over 2. And then let's divide both sides by 5, right? So divide by 5. And then divide by 5 means it comes down here. And here's the magic bit. You've got 5 up top and the 5 on the bottom, so those cancel, right? You didn't have to do that. You could have wrote out, you know, just actually multiplied those and divided by 2 at that point. But I can do this all in my head a lot easier now because I can go, okay, 5's cancel. I've still got 16 over 2, so that's just 8, right? So x is just equal to 8. Okay, so now that we know that, we just have the other part. This actually won't be so bad just because of the way the question was set up. Let's use this one because it already kind of has y without a fraction in it, right? So 3 over 4x. So we've got 3 over 4x minus y was equal to 2. Okay, and now we're just after y, right? So this x is going to have to go in for that one, right? All right, so let's do that. So we've got 3 over 4. And then instead of an x, I'm going to put in my number, like my 8, right? So 8. And then minus y is equal to 2. Okay, so this works out nice, right? I've got 8 on the top, 4 on the bottom, if you like, right? So 8 over 4, so those can like cancel. That's really just going to be like a 2 now. So 3 times 2 is 6 minus y is equal to 2. And now I could subtract 6 from both sides. That'd be fine. I typically like to keep things positive. So I'm going to just bring the y over to this side, making it positive, right? I'm going to add y to both sides. So now we've got 6 is equal to 2 plus y. And now I'll just subtract 2 from both sides, so minus 2. So we get 4 is equal to y.